Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today, so do me a favor before we get into these topics. If you end up enjoying this video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like. Helps the videos out more than you know. And if you are new here to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. We're starting here talking about Resident Evil 4 Remake. This is a game that I am personally very excited about. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and this remake looks incredible. And I'm sure many of you are looking forward to it as well. So we're getting confirmation from Capcom that they're going to be adjusting something that fans have had an issue with some of the preview footage that we've seen so far, and that is the rain effect. So this is being reported by Gaming Bolt. They say among the many releases this year, Capcom's remake of RE4 is one of the biggest. However, if there's one thing that fans have found fault with thus far, it's the rain effects seen in the Chapter 5 gameplay walkthrough. They didn't look the best, and there was concern over whether the development team could fix it in time. Thankfully, the producer of Resident Evil 4 Remake told Press Start, quote, "We've seen everyone's reaction to the rain effects, and we are working on a day one patch to make adjustments," end quote. So this is good news because, yeah, in my opinion, everything about Resident Evil 4 Remake looks perfect except for that rain effect. It did look pretty bad. It was extremely distracting, and that was really the only thing that people could find, you know, to kind of point out and say, I think you guys might want to, you know, adjust this. I mean, I would still play it even if they weren't able to fix it, but I think it's great news that they are able to. Moving on from that, though, I want to talk about a PlayStation VR 2 game and how if you redeem this game through PlayStation Plus, unfortunately, you are not going to be entitled to a free upgrade. You are going to have to pay for it. This is being reported by Push Square. They say critically acclaimed virtual reality survival horror game, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, is coming to PSVR 2. But if you claim the game all the way back in November of 2021 as part of PS Plus, then you will need to pay for the upgrade. While there was some confusion over this initially, it turns out that only the expanded tourist edition of the title is eligible for a free transfer to PS5. Those who own the base game will have to pay a $10 upgrade fee. It should be noted that the version given away with Sony subscription was the standard release. They continue by saying, in developer Skydance Interactive's defense, this is shaping up to be more than just your average port. In fact, it's bordering on a remaster, really. The trailer showcases the improvements fans can expect, which expand to enhanced environments, better animations, and revamped gameplay. In some of these side-by-side comparisons, it almost looks like a different game. So it's clear that a lot of effort has gone into this. The updated version, along with its sequel, is scheduled to release on March 21st for PSVR 2. So, yeah, wanted to be sure to let everybody know about this. I know that quite a few of you did go out and buy PSVR 2, and I'm sure that some of you are looking forward to this. So this is something you're going to want to keep in mind. And, you know, I feel like it is kind of difficult to be upset with the developer if it really looks like they put the hard work and effort into, you know, bringing a game up to a new platform such as PSVR 2. I don't think many people would really have a problem expecting to pay like a $10 upgrade fee, even if you did claim it for free through PS Plus. But it's just my read on it anyway. I'll be interested to see what you guys have to say about that. Moving on to the next topic, once again, talking about the ongoing Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition. This is relevant to Sony, and I'm definitely going to be curious to see what you guys have to say about this. I have an article here from VGC, and they say Microsoft has confirmed it has offered Sony the option to put future Call of Duty games on its PlayStation Plus subscription service on day one as part of its bid to appease regulators' concerns over the proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. However, Sony Interactive Entertainment has alleged that the offer could be reliant on unsustainable licensing costs, which would force it to raise prices. The offer is detailed in Microsoft's newly published response to UK regulator, the Competition and Markets Authority, or the CMA. And it says in its response, Microsoft reiterates its willingness to sign a 10-year contract guaranteeing the shooter will continue to be released on PlayStation consoles post-acquisition. Microsoft claims its 10-year offer will provide Sony with parity on release date, content, features, upgrades, quality and playability with the Xbox platform across PS4, PS5, and any successor platforms. Notably, the Xbox owner said that parity will also apply to streaming and subscription services. Any Call of Duty game in a Microsoft multi-game subscription is eligible for inclusion in Sony's multi-game subscription service at the same time and for the same duration, Microsoft claims in its response. It has been confirmed that should the Activision Blizzard deal be approved by regulators, it intends to put future releases on Game Pass on the day of their release. This would seemingly give Sony the green light to do the same on PlayStation Plus for the next decade, should it accept Microsoft's offer. However, in its own response to the CMA's findings, which were also published on Wednesday, SIE claims that Microsoft's subscription offer isn't as appealing as it makes out. In a heavily redacted document, the PlayStation firm alleges that Microsoft would have significant leverage to manipulate the price of Call of Duty on PlayStation based on the licensing fee it decides to charge. On subscription, SIE claims, quote, "This would commercially destroy SIE's multi-game subscription model," end quote. Microsoft would be able to, quote, "drive up the price for Call of Duty," end quote, SIE claims, which it alleges would force it to raise the price of their service or not offer Call of Duty on the service at all. Moving on from that, we have yet another update when it comes to just how well Sony is doing with the PS5, and it's surging just across the world, actually, when it comes to sales. We have a report here from VGC. It says PlayStation 5 has enjoyed its biggest ever month in Japan, with sales up more than 450% year on year in February. According to Famitsu data, PS5 was February's best-selling hardware in the country. The Nintendo Switch came in at second. It's the first time PS5 has outsold the Nintendo Switch in a calendar month in Japan, and sales are up by a whopping 457% year on year. PS5 has enjoyed a strong start to 2023 in some regions, likely due to the much increased availability of the console following years of stock shortages. As noted by Twitter user Genki Japan, the PS5 sold more units in February in Japan than it managed in the first 4 months of 2022 combined, pointing to a massive increase in sales in the region. So yeah, not going to spend too much time talking about this, but just another update on how well the PS5 is doing globally now that the shortage is over. Moving on from that, though, we have the next big PlayStation 5 update that is officially out. I'm going to run down all of the new features that are included in this update. Again, this update is available now on your PS5, so you can now join a Discord voice chat on your PS5 console. You can start or request a share screen from your friend's profile. There's a new Join Game icon in Party Chats, new Friends Who Play tile, manually upload game captures to the PlayStation app. So those are all the new social features. When it comes to new gameplay and personalization options, variable refresh rate support for 1440p, available through HDMI 2.1 only. They've also made some updates to the parameters of the PS5 console's 1440p output test, enabling 1440p support for a wider range of HDMI displays. New game library enhancements. You can now also sort and filter games when adding games to a game list. You can use filters in your library to easily find PSVR games and game presets for multiplayer session preferences. When it comes to new accessibility and ease of use features, PS4 to PS5 save data migration, PS5 to PS5 data transfer, screen reader improvements, wireless device update for DualSense wireless controller. So basically what that means is you can now update your DualSense controller without having to connect it with a wire. And when it comes to game capture using voice command, which are still in preview in the US and UK only, voice commands now support your voice to save video clips of your gameplay. So that's something you'll be able to do. And so, yeah, this is a pretty hefty update. Overall, it's basically what we went over last month when it went into beta. It seems like all the features that we went over and discussed pretty much, did make their way to the final version of it here. So let me know how you're feeling about the latest PS5 system update. But we are moving on to the final topic, which talks about PlayStation and how they might be getting ready to make some more acquisitions. This is being reported by WCCF Tech, and it says Microsoft has been grabbing most of the acquisition-related headlines recently, what with their purchase of Bethesda and the highly contested plans to purchase up Activision Blizzard. But Sony has been quietly doing some shopping of their own. Over the past couple of years, PlayStation has grabbed Bungie, Housemarque, and more, and it seems like they're not putting away their checkbooks yet. Back in 2021, Sony said that they were setting aside 2 trillion yen, or around $18.4 billion, for strategic investments in the entertainment industry over the course of 3 years. During a recent Q&A at the Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference, Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki provided an update on how that plan is going. 2 years into the program, they have spent around $1.3 trillion, leaving around $700 billion left. Not dollars, that's actually yen. In dollars, that's 5.1 billion. So they have $5.1 billion left for further investments. Based on what Totoki says, it sounds like they aren't strictly sticking to this $5.1 billion they originally pledged to invest either, as they may further allocate operating cash flow to strategic investments. Quote, "We spent almost 1.3 trillion yen by the end of last year. We have another year more. We would like to create more than 3 trillion yen cash flow in 3 years' time. Next year is the last year in our current mid-range plan. We're going to allocate operating cash flow to strategic investment in capital expenditure as well as share buyback," end quote. So what might Sony be planning to buy over the next year? Of course, it should be noted, the money set aside is for Sony as a whole, not just the PlayStation division. That said, it is worth noting that the current market valuation for Square Enix is in the $5 billion range, so just something to keep in mind. As a reminder, since Sony made their strategic investment announcement, they purchased Housemarque, Nixxes Software, Firesprite, Bluepoint Games, Valkyrie Entertainment, Savage Game Studios, Haven Studios, and Bungie. Additionally, they've increased their investment in companies like Devolver Digital, From Software, and Epic Games, and they've also purchased companies like Crunchyroll that provide non-gaming content on PlayStation platforms. So basically, what this boils down to is Sony is not done making acquisitions. I feel like a lot of people already assume that, but knowing that they still have $5.1 billion to work with, I guess at this point we will just assume the majority of that, if not all of it, may end up going into PlayStation. They could be getting ready to make some big moves, and the question I want to ask you guys is, who do you think Sony is most likely to try and acquire next? Who would you like to see them acquire next? And yeah, it is interesting to think that Square Enix is worth about $5 billion. So basically, if Sony wanted to, and if Square Enix was willing, which I honestly at this point think they would be, Sony could make that move, and it could work for them. But as Hiroki Totoki notes, that they are willing to put even more money on top of that $5.1 billion if need be, if there's something out there that they feel they really want and need. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys this update on how much money Sony basically has left to put into further acquisitions. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.